I am so certain that you are doing more than you need to do in the gym and would be able to have more success by doing less and putting more intent into the exercises that you choose. Welcome back to the channel. So today we're back in the garage gym and we're on the whiteboard. We're going to discuss the foundation of all of my programming. I've used this style of programming or this foundation of programming for, I would say, the last 10 to 12 years or so in person, whether I'm working with high level athletes, whether I'm working with new, either novice or intermediate lifters, or even if I'm just working with adults in a group setting or a one-on-one setting. This is where I base everything off of. I've also used this foundation to write all of my programs that are available online. But what I've recognized in the implementation of this foundation is the more I use it, the more things I take away. So the less exercises I do, giving me more intent in the exercises that we're actually focusing on. So we're gonna walk through how to select your exercises, general set and rep ideas for these exercises, when during the week you wanna throw in specific movement patterns, how you can use this style or foundation of training for all of the programming that you do. Whether you are taking the long approach and writing 4, 5, 6 phases at a time, or you're just trying to get one session in, a good stimulating session in the gym, and you're walking in and trying to figure out exactly what you want to do. This is a great place to start. And honestly, I feel like this is something that we should talk about more in the field. But because everybody has to have their own style and their own approach, very few people are gonna talk about how important this piece is. So first, let's talk about exactly what this approach is. So we're going to use a 3-day training example. So at the top, I have day 1, day 2, day 3. And we're only going to do 4 exercises each day. Exercise 1, 2, 3, and 4. This gives us 12 exercises the entire week. You are probably already doing 12 exercises in every session. I'm gonna show you how this is gonna be so much better for strength gains, for hypertrophy gains, for power gains, and overall make your training and programming so much simpler. You can use this same approach if you have a 4th day or if you have a 5th day. I'm just using 3 days a week because that's generally the amount of time that I train. 2 other things to keep in mind when looking at this style of training. This is not including sprints. So if you are pursuing athletic goals, then you would sprint another time outside of this setup. Ideally, you're sprinting twice a week. Once is gonna be acceleration based, so anything between 10 and 30 yards. Another day of sprinting is gonna be max velocity, so anywhere between basically 30 and 60 yards. All you're gonna need is 30 to 45 minutes per session to be able to make this happen. So we are going to assume that most people are training 3 days a week for 45 minutes a day. So first of all, we have to take advantage of compound movements. Compound movements are exercises that stimulate a lot of muscle groups at once, can be trained through long ranges of motion, and have the ability to be able to be progressively overloaded through time. These are your squats, your deadlifts, your presses, your pulls. The other concept we talk about is this has to be efficient. We have to be able to get in and get out of the weight room. We can even set a 30 or 45 minute time cap, but it's important just based around your own time that this is efficient. And the last concept is that this has to be engaging. So you have to enjoy the 4 exercises that you are doing to be able to get the most out of each session. So the first thing I'm going to do is think about what is my number 1 priority? What is the main strength exercise that I want to build up the most? So recently, my squat, my heel elevated barbell back squat is the exercise that I've focused on the most. So I'm gonna put this day 1, exercise 1. The second exercise I'm going to choose is what exercise am I prioritizing the most that doing a heavy barbell squat will not take away from. So barbell squat being a lower body compound movement, I'm going to choose an upper body compound movement. My favorite upper body compound movement for strength, hypertrophy, and overall enjoyment is a high incline bench press. I program these first 2 exercises in, the first 2 exercises I do all week, just in case I don't end up getting any more training in. I still check 2 huge boxes for the first 2 exercises that I'm doing every week. Then the third exercise, because I am specifically pursuing athleticism, is I'm going to have a jump variation that matches the lower body compound movement. So a barbell squat is vertical in nature, so I want my jump to be vertical. If you enjoy Olympic lifting, that's where I would put that in, either the snatch or the clean in block 3 and substitute for my jump. Both have similar properties. Both train similar qualities. Again, the idea here is not to be too super specific and is to not get lost in the details of everything we're doing. We're just trying to select 4 exercises that we can give a ton of energy to. Finally, the last exercise is going to be a hypertrophy specific exercise for a muscle group that I want to build up. Let's use for this example, biceps. So this is all we are doing in day 1. Barbell squat, high incline press, vertical jump, and bicep curl. Generally, you're gonna see people do a barbell back squat and then do an accessory hamstring or do an accessory quad or do an accessory adductor and abductor. If you are truly training this movement through its full range of motion, as heavy as you can go for a prescribed amount of reps, you don't need to have all those other accessory exercises in there. So when we're looking at sets and reps, again, 30 minutes or 45 minutes, I like taking this first exercise. Again, what my main focus is this back squat. So I want this to be anywhere between 1 and 5 reps. I want the most amount of energy to go into this exercise. My second exercise, I'm gonna bump up the reps a little more because my nervous system should be pretty fatigued after a couple of these working sets of the squats. So I'm gonna go incline press anywhere between 5 and 8 reps. Whether you're choosing a jump variation or an Olympic lift variation, I like to keep those short and explosive. So we're gonna take these anywhere between 2 and 4 reps. And then that fourth exercise for hypertrophy, trying to get a nice pump, we're bumping the reps way up to help us recover and give us more time before we have to get back into exercise 1 or 2, but also knowing that we are doing enough volume to really be able to stimulate that specific muscle. So we're gonna take the bicep movement anywhere between 10 and 20 reps. Now we have our 4 main exercises, the 4 exercises we're gonna do for the entire day. And when you get to the gym, you're gonna have to start warming up these positions. So we're just gonna take these same 4 exercises and we're gonna go empty bar, 50 to 60%, very light, and we're gonna do a couple warm-up sets of the actual exercises that we will be doing. So let's say the first thing I do is a barbell heel elevated back squat with a 45-pound bar. We're gonna do anywhere between 5 and 15 reps on the first round. Incline press is gonna be the same way. Jump, we're gonna get back up again, 50, 60% as we're going through. Bicep curls, anything between 10 and 30 reps just to get the blood flowing. 2 or so warm-up sets here before we start progressively adding weight and taking reps off of those warm-up sets. Once we feel like we've got a good, proper warm-up done, we're sweating, our heart is elevated, that's when we start adding a little bit of weight, and then we are keeping those squats at the same amount of reps for the entire duration of the rest of the training. Same thing with the incline bench, same thing with the jumps and the biceps. I'm going to stop the squats after I hit my top set of squats, whatever feels like is a good challenging weight to finish on. Based off of the amount of reps that I'm doing each time, I'm gonna cut that off. Basically, when I get within 1 or 2 reps to failure, and I don't feel like I can repeat that same output for the next set, I'll cut that off. Same thing happens with the incline bench. When my vertical jumps start to go down, if I'm tracking those jumps or if I'm not tracking them, if they feel less explosive, that's when I'm going to cut them off. And then the bicep curls, I'm going to take all the way through the training. Remember, we are going into this with a time constraint. So we will do these 4 exercises for that entire 30 minutes or that entire 45 minutes. If you want to just take this basic framework for your main working sets, you can do that and build other things around it. But this would be incredibly successful just on its own.
So we come in for day 2. If your first exercise on day 1 is a squat, then your first exercise for day 2 is gonna be a press. That was better, feels more you.
So for day 2, I'm picking a vertical press as my main strength exercise. Remember, we said the first exercise is what gets most of our energy, most of our focus. So then our second exercise, we're flipping from day 1. My barbell squat is a quad focused lower body compound movement. So I'm going to have now a hamstring focused lower body movement. Generally, that is gonna be a deadlift variation. For the sake of this video, we're going to go with a barbell deadlift. Remember, we like to keep our movement patterns similar between our lower body compound movement and our jump. So day 2's jump variation is going to be a horizontal jump because it's more similar to a deadlift. And then very simple switch, very simple change from the bicep curl would be a tricep extension. Doesn't specifically have to be a tricep extension. That is my favorite tricep exercise. It just needs to fill the box of a tricep exercise. So if you look at the first 2 days, We've checked a ton of boxes. We have a heavy squat day. We have a heavy vertical press day. We have a moderate weight horizontal press. We have a moderate weight lower body hinge. We have 2 athletic movements, 2 different jump variations, and we have 2 arm exercises. When I would see people in person, either once or twice a week, this was exactly the split that we were doing. I mentioned the training has to be engaging, so these are the foundational movement patterns, but each week that I would see somebody, I would change the variation of the exercise, but it would still fit that movement pattern. So we have a really good split for the first 2 days. That gives us a little more freedom on day 3 to be able to throw in whatever else we want, knowing that we have pushed the musculature in these main movement patterns pretty heavy the first couple days. So day 3, you need to decide, is it the upper body or the lower body that I care about the most? I spent probably 10 to 12 years of solely focusing on my upper body and the strength movements for my upper body and almost completely disregarding lower body, anything outside of running routes or running sprints. So now in my training, I'm always trying to bias the lower body. So I am going to select a lower body exercise as my main strength exercise on day 3. So I'm going to choose a unilateral variation of a squat. My favorite is a Bulgarian split squat, and more recently, a Hatfield variation using a safety squat bar with my hands out in front, elevating my back foot so I can load that Bulgarian split squat as heavy as humanly possible. My second exercise, I've already hit an incline press. I've already hit a vertical press, so it's just going to be another pressing variation that you enjoy doing. I go back and forth between a flat bench press variation or a decline press variation or a jerk variation of some sort. Push jerk, split jerk, or even a push press. Let's just choose a flat bench variation. So because we are using a barbell on the split squat, I'm just gonna use a dumbbell for the press. We'll do a dumbbell bench press. Now to fill in the last 2 spots, we have not done a vertical or a horizontal row. I love chin-ups and pull-ups, so we'll throw in some pull-ups here. If you're not great at pull-ups or you could only do 1 or 2 sets of pull-ups, you can always substitute once you're fatigued from the pull-ups into a single arm row or a inverted row. And the last exercise of day 3, I'm gonna pick a specific muscle group that I wanna improve. Could be abs, could be shoulders, could be traps, something that I just want to give a ton of volume to. So let's say this is a decline sit-up, one of my favorite ab variations. So in just 3 days, less than 3 hours in the gym, let's look at what we've accomplished. We've had a heavy barbell squat, a heavy overhead press, and a heavy Bulgarian split squat. We've done moderate volume of an incline bench, of a barbell deadlift, and of a dumbbell bench press. We've done a few different variations of high effort, high intent jumps, and we've caught a pump and hit our abs. I can progress these over months to years without having to change any of them. Week 1, I could do 5 squats. Week 4 would be 4 squats. Week 3 would be 3 squats. I would do the same thing, shoulder press, split squat. Incline press would be 8 reps. Deadlift would be 8 reps week 1. Week 2, they could be 6 reps. There are thousands of different jump variations, vertical jumps and horizontal jumps that you could do, and you could do as many different bicep and tricep variations as possible. That's how I could literally train people in person for 2 years, never have any session repeat itself, never have any session feel like they had done it before because they hadn't. There are multiple variations of the exercises and multiple variations of the reps that we are accomplishing in each training session. Another great way to change it up, and something that is foundational and fundamental in my programming, if one phase I have a barbell squat, that next phase I like that to switch to then a dumbbell variation of the squat. So that gives you even more options. High incline barbell press, high incline dumbbell press, high incline alternating dumbbell press, high alternating single arm dumbbell press. If you have access to a full gym, you could do an incline press machine. That was already 5 different variations of this one exercise. And what really matters when it comes to the entire approach of your training is the amount of effort that you're putting into each exercise. Only having 4 lifts each day is going to allow you to put so much effort, so much more intensity into each of these exercises, as opposed to just hitting 3 sets of 10 and then moving on to the next thing. I am so certain that you are doing more than you need to do in the gym and would be able to have more success by doing less and putting more intent into the exercises that you choose. So who is this going to work for? It works great for individuals who are just looking for the longevity benefits of training, the strength benefits of training, the hypertrophy benefits of training. This is all you're gonna need to keep your training engaging for years to come. It's also incredible for people who are new to training because including warm-ups, you might end up doing 7 to 10 sets of these exercises. So just by sheer exposure to these movements, you're gonna get way better at the skill component involved in training, which is another thing a lot of people don't talk about and don't think about is learning to exercise is just like learning any other skill. You've got to spend thousands and thousands of hours or thousands and thousands of reps to get really good at the movement patterns. This is going to guarantee that you are going to get better at the skill expression of each movement. This is also great for people who generally feel good physically, where you don't need a really long time to warm up, or you don't need a lot of prehab exercises, or you don't need a lot of focus on injured areas. It's great for people who generally feel good and can get into the weight room, move their body to warm up, and then get right into their training. This is not good for individuals who enjoy spending 1 or 2 or 3 hours in the weight room. You would just basically get to the point where you fatigued all of these exercises and you have nothing left. So you would usually move to the next exercise if that is your style and you like having more to do. Go ahead and continue to do that. But even for high-level professional athletes, this is a great approach. The first post I made talking about the idea of this style of programming, I had multiple professional athletes who are in my ecosystem on social media reach out to me, DM me, or comment on the post saying that this is their same approach. So it even works at the highest level of athleticism. The other thing about professional athletes is that they recognize that the weight room is generally not the thing that's going to help their overall expression of their skill when it comes to their court or their field. Athletes with a very, very high skill level when it comes to their sport are always going to outperform the individuals who put all of their time and all of their effort into the weight room, because ultimately there's not a barbell on the playing field. But for 95% of people, this would work perfectly. When we're talking about how to continue to change this up and how to keep this engaging, I would run this very similar split for a couple weeks. Once I got to the point where I felt I could no longer hit any heavier of, for example, a triple on a barbell back squat, then all I would do is I would take these first 2 exercises and I would flip them. So on day 1, my main exercise would be an upper body exercise, and my second exercise would be the lower body. So you might look at barbell deadlift being the second exercise in day 2. I also love barbell deadlifting. I'm not always going to do between 5 and 8 reps of that. There will be days where I move that up to priority number 1 and put all of my energy into that barbell deadlift, hit either a single, double, or a triple there. This is an approach that's really gonna save time, really gonna save energy, especially mental energy when you find yourself going to the gym and trying to figure out what you're gonna do. All you have to do is select 4 exercises and give as much effort as you possibly can into each of them. When I've written my other programs that you can find online, they all follow this base foundation, but a lot of them I will add exercises based on the specificity of the training program. If you have any questions about any of this, please write it down in the comments. I would love to be able to continue this conversation. Again, I think this is something that a lot of people are missing, and this would really help a lot of people improve their performance in the gym, help them look better, help them feel better. So if you have a question about how you can fit this into your program, please reach out to me on the comments. If you want to join the Athletic Dad Collective, which is our group of dads trained to be more capable for their children, the website is below. Click on that, fill out your forms below, and I'll see you on the inside.